Hi guys, welcome back to the Rose Corner. It's your boy Rose. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We are doing YouTube. It's a good look. Welcome to the Rose Corner. It is time for Conversation Talk with Rose. I want to welcome my guest this evening, a man who is no stranger to this platform. He was here with us for our first conversation talk on the topic of the COVID pandemic. And I want to welcome my dear brother in Christ, my brother from another mother, my brother in Christ, Mr. Robinson. Welcome, Mr. Robinson. How are you doing this evening?
I'm fine, Mr. Rose. And I'm very grateful for that astute introduction.
You're most welcome, my brother. You're most welcome. You're most welcome.
I'm very humble to be on a platform, as this, with
Yes.
the Rose
Yeah,
Corner.
that's
Where
right.
else could we find an opportunity like this but to be on Rose Corner?
I tell you.
Yes,
This is
yes,
where
yes,
we talk about so many things. And
yes.
we had a wonderful discussion the last time, Mr. Robinson, on the COVID pandemic. Right now there's so many other things going on, both local and international, as it relates to the impact that the COVID pandemic has caused globally, and also where we see Russia invading Ukraine at this time. Is a very serious situation that continues to develop. Also, back here in Jamaica, the motion has been passed today in the House of Representatives for Portmore to become the 15th parish of Jamaica. Um, and later tonight at 8:30, TVJ will be having a town hall session on the plans for Portmore becoming the 15th parish of Jamaica. A lot of things going on all at once. And also, just yesterday, the day before, the minimum wage has been increased. So we're going to dive into that, my brother, tonight with you, and get your take on all of this and so much more tonight. And I want to welcome those that are watching this conversation. Right, so we'll be getting into the discussion at this time. All right, and the discussion this evening will include, as I said, a minimum wage increase to make us inflation rates, high prices for food, and our crime rate situation in Jamaica at this time. Right, it was on the 20th, it was Tuesday, the 22nd of February, the Minister of Labor and Social Security, the Honorable Carlson Moda, mentioned in a digital press conference, says that we shall see the rate of the minimum wage move from $7,000 to $9,000 per 40-hour work, for a 40-hour work week. There's a lot of discussion on this, a lot of those that are for and against. We've heard, in the news from some of the trade unions that have also come out and have spoken on this increase. Personally, for me, my view on the minimum wage, I'll just share what I have to say, and then I'll introduce you to share your thought on this, Mr. Robinson, is that it is a critical component of the labor force and how persons are paid in certain categories of the labor force, in my opinion. And there was an analyst that stated that if the minimum wage was not a structure that was implemented, you would have a situation where employers could pay their workers little or nothing below standard. And so I guess the minimum wage is sort of like a measuring stick of expectation of what employers, are to pay their workers. it was 7,000. It was increased to 7,000 back in 2018. I believe the report stated.
Yes, 2018, over a 4-year period, right?
Right. And now it has increased to $9,000. I think the minimum wage increase has to tie into the inflation rate, and inflation rate does affect food prices, which we are going to look at shortly.
Right.
But when the discussion was about increasing the minimum wage, 9,000, that's just 2,000 more. I was expecting probably 9,500 or $10,000, at least $10,000, because of the standard of living at this time. And we see that things are just continually going up, so I think the increase is welcome, but was not what I was expecting. I think the government should have run it up to about $10,000, because of the cost of living. Well, what do you have to say, Mr. Roberts?
Well, first, I have to commit. I would say the government overall. I would have to say, I have to give them thumbs up for to give us the opportunity to have an increase. I mean, the truth of the matter is this: minimum wage is there to guide us.
Right.
In not to pay the workers less than what they're supposed to get. So overall, I'm very proud that the government has recognized that there's a need to increase the minimum wage here, despite it is very small, 28.5%, which is over $2,000 going on from $7,000 to $9,000.
Yeah.
And they always have a saying to say that half a bread is better than no bread.
No bread, right.
Right. So to get an increase here of $2,000 over a 40-hour work week is really small, but I think some person will accept it for the time being. And remember that the minimum wage here is not referred only to domestic workers. It also include security officers as well, and other persons within that framework that would have worked, in the minimum wage sector, you'd have said.
Right.
So as you rightly put it, you was expecting probably 9,500. Some was saying probably $10,000 to round it off. But tell you what, I've been listening and I've been reading, and I've heard a lot of economists saying that, this is still small, but
it is.
It is still small, but based on inflation, and it ties into it that we have to look at what is happening in the economy right now and what is happening globally. So, and they're using the term livable wage instead of a minimum wage. Right, what is livable?
Because that is what they want to change it to, instead of saying minimum wage. And there's a discussion in terms of how it is characterized going forward as a living wage. But $9,000 for a week is not livable. It's still not livable for a family of 2 or 3. It's not livable.
No, it's not livable, and it's really sad to see that in this 21st century we're still having discussion about what should the minimum wage be, or what should the livable wage be. When you compare us in the Caribbean and North America, there's a huge difference in terms of the currency and the gap, what we can able to buy at the supermarket or the wholesale versus what a person in America can purchase, or a person in Trinidad or Barbados can purchase, or in Cayman. So I think the conversation has to be changed to that livable wage, and change it. And I want to tell you, I've been listening recently in the media where persons who recognize the minimum wage persons have decided that there should be some components added to the persons who are doing these type of work, right? Instead of employing somebody to just wash, they are saying that these persons have to have a level of education where they should have some certification through art or whichever institution where to get this job now. They are suggesting that you're not only going to come and just clean the place, but you should be able to do a budget. So if my bills need to pay, you should be able to drive the car, go to the bank, or go to the light bill area in complex and pay those bills. And then you could demand that instead of getting $9,000, what about giving me 15 or 20,000 to do this service? But you know, that's my 2 cents on it so far. I just there's a lot more to be discussed on it.
Yes, yes, a lot more, a lot more. Let us read here in the article. It says, you know, as we read earlier, the rate for industrial security guards will move up from 9,700 per week, which it is at now,
right,
to 10,500. And people must be reminded that these changes will take effect, as is stated there, the 1st of April, 2022.
Tom Fool Day.
A Tom Fool Day. so it might be effective the 2nd of April, 2022. I have a larger article here to share.
Yes.
Let me just see if I can share it.
Yes.
You see my screen?
Yes.
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 I'm going to the article here online.
Right.
Which is basically saying the same thing that we have read.
Right.
As it says here, right. Mr. Samuda said security guards will also benefit from an increase in laundry allowance that will move from $44 to $47.62 per hour, and firearm premium allowance that will go up from $48 to $51.95 per hour. The dog anglers premium allowance will be increased as well from $33 to $35.72 per hour, while life insurance with double indemnity protection and disbursements coverage will also increase from 2.75 million to 2.97 million.
Yes.
Right. So that is just some of what Minister Samuda mentioned.
And I must say that this is very important because sometimes persons do not understand that the security officers play a pivotal role in this country. And one must understand that from moving from 9,700 to 10,500 is still small.
Yes, it is still small. Yes.
Comparing to the domestic helper.
Why couldn't it be 11,500?
Yeah, and look at the comparison. The domestic helper will be getting 9,000, and the security will be getting 10,500. So when you look at, there's not much.
That's not much. Between the space gap, right?
The space gap.
That's like just 1,500 difference.
Right. The only advantage with the security officers them is that those that use the firearm and those who use the canine, that is where they're really benefiting.
Some benefits are in, right?
And in terms of the life insurance and so forth. So there's a step in the right direction here. I mean, because remember that we can't just look at it from these persons that will be getting a salary in their pocket, but their clients and so forth who have to pay these large sum of money have to take in consideration their budget, their expense, and the expenditure and how things are, knowing that they would already plan for the year, knowing that our government started the 1st of April for the economy and the budget and so forth, but each company do things a little bit different. But what is interesting time? It is very interesting to see how these things would play. I mean, when I look at the numbers overall in Jamaica, the minimum wage, what percentage of the population of 2.7, there's only 12% of the population in
the labor force.
In the labor force.
That's not good. That's not good.
So,
what do you think can be a corrective measure to that though? How can that percentage increase going forward for future generations to come?
What I would say is that we need more persons to be educated.
Number one, yeah.
Right, and once persons are educated at the basic level. And when I say the basic level, it's not read and write,
No.
But at the basic level where you can put on the table with your employer is to negotiate what you think would work for you to complete the task at hand. Right. So and that is the reason why I believe that one of the things I suggest that the government can do is that they could plan an island-wide initiative where you could just look at the numbers of how much persons in the country fall in the domestic bracket, and ensure that these persons get upscale training that would give them the power in their hands to demand a little bit more. That's why I was suggesting that for us to have a domestic helper in our household, instead of just pay them to do the small things,
right,
I would suggest that once they are trained and they can able to pay your bill, go to the supermarket and shop for you and do all of these things, that would have had a little bit more effect in terms of their earning potential and able to negotiate and say, here what, mama and that here what, as a domestic helper, I can do far more than just this, I have the training, I have the ability, and I can make initiatives and do things even better. And if you can, and so forth. So I think we need to shift the paradigm and to help our people to understand here what, this minimum wage is just not just going to the wholesale world, going to the factory, and in this franchise and just work a minimum wage. The idea is to train our people, get them certified, to be more
productive,
and with Art Institute now encouraging every single Jamaicans now to be certified, whether at level 1 or level 2 or level 3. I would suggest that the government can come up with a program where that if you make an announcement, say come 2024, going forward, every domestic helper, every security officer, and so forth, which I know the security officer have to be trained now through Art.
Right.
Every single person that works in the minimum wage sector, has to be certified with a level 1 certificate or level 2 certificate. Meaning that now that every person who get employed must have a level 1 or level 2 certification from Art Trust.
Right. In the field that they're going into.
Right. So that simply means that now some persons say, well, we're going to cut off those persons who have been doing this for years. But tell you what, I would put on the tip that persons who have been doing this for years, you'd not leave them out. You'd have called them in, let the Art officers them go into these institute and these places or these homes and said, here what, I know you have been doing this for the last 20 years, 30 years. I know you don't have the time to come back in the classroom or to write
do those type of stuff. Right.
So guess what? We'll ask you the questions and then we'll assess you there, and based on the assessment of you, we give you the level 1 certificate. In order to move from it,
that sounds fair. That sounds fair.
And in order to move from, because we have to be mindful that you have some persons who did not have the opportunity in the 70s and the 80s.
Or the 80s, right.
Or the 80s. So for those persons now, what we would do now is go in to them and assess them and give them a level 1 certificate. So going forward by 2024, every single domestic helper going in to work for somebody, one of the criteria we put on it, especially for the men, them who are butlers, the English term, is that you have to be able to drive. Meaning that one of the requirements for getting this job that you can able to drive, you must be able to drive, and you must be able to have this customer service skills where you can go in from it and do these initiatives where you can go pay my bill, write a budget for the house, not only take care of the kids until we come back home, but to ensure
other things, right?
But other things, and that would increase these persons' income in their pocket. So there would be no sense of saying that you're getting the exact minimum wage as the government would do every year, but you would have to get above that because you're able to do things, far more things.
Right.
Yes.
Well said.
And before you move on, one of the things that I would advise the government and these domestic workers is that now most of them sometimes has to cook. And let me tell you, I know there's a difference between a cook and a chef.
And a chef, yeah.
But and Jamaica love them food. But just by cooking alone is not just a skill, but it's an art.
Yes.
And trust me, when you look on Jamaica roads, every corner, a man have a cook shop.
A cook shop, yes.
And trust me, I would say that to cook in these institutions or so, and to get the minimum wage, there should be some incentive because cooking takes a lot.
A lot, that's right.
A lot. And remember, in order to work into a hotel, you have to be certified through UTech, with a certification, a degree, the diploma. In our masters to say, here what, I'm a sous chef, I'm a chef, and so forth. So I can do this stuff. I can prepare a dish, prepare at a table. A conversation needs to be broadened. I think certification is the key thing. It's
important, certification.
And I believe with you having certification give you a greater negotiate chance at the table and the opportunity open for you. Because when persons go overseas to work in the hotel sector, you have to be certified to do these minimum wage work in certain sector. And I think that is the best way to go for that. I think the government should do island-wide certification
within
level 1
within the sector, within the minimum sector.
Yes, definitely.
Interesting. Thank you so much on that, Mr. Robinson. We'll be moving now to segment 2 of our discussion tonight, and we'll be looking, and it continues, because the minimum wage ties into inflation, and that's why we saw a 28.5%. As people say, we'll call it mediocre increase in the minimum wage.
Yes.
So for persons that are watching now, doesn't understand what inflation is, we are going to try to share the information tonight so that they can understand how inflation ties into minimum wage, or we should call a living wage, as we are going to start. A living wage.
A livable wage.
A livable.
If they can live with 9,000 or 10,500.
Order. Yes. So inflation rates are calculated as it says and published each month by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Staten, which also does our census, right?
Yes.
Inflation is measured. Inflation measures the rate of price change for goods. That's what inflation is, and services, right? So that's that's basically what inflation is. Do you want to break it down any other way for us, Mr. Robinson?
It's simple as this. inflation speaks about goods and service. Price goes up, then there's a demand for things, or there's a decrease in the service.
Right.
So there's a way where inflation goes, because it comes down to the goods and the service, the demands for goods and service in the economy, in the space at the time. And right now, as we speak, the perfect example, one of the things that is driving this inflation rate is the food.
There you go. Right.
And the raw material behind the food is what we see happening on the global stage. Oil.
Right.
To run the machine. Yes, to run that machine, and the machine that produce the end product, which is the food.
Right.
And that is where it is. The price keeps going up.
Yes.
So the raw material that is there, and the end product that we get, as you learn it, the cottage industry and all of these things.
Right.
So the inflation rate really gone up to the 9.7%.
Yes. And this is the latest report from Television Jamaica.
And I want to tell her that 9.7% is equal to the minimum wage, you have to say.
Yes.
I mean, it's like 9.7 to 9,000.
9,000. Yes. And that's why at the beginning of the conversation I said it should be at least 9.5 or 1 up to 10, because you see, this is almost 10%. That's how high our inflation is at this time.
And one of the key points is this, when the inflation rate goes up, the BOJ, the Bank of Jamaica, has a pivotal role to play.
Yes.
We must let our viewers know that one of the things is that the BOJ is independent.
Yes.
They not operate underneath the government. Can you imagine if they were underneath the government? I don't know what would happen, but I'll leave that.
Leave that for Manayard and Mr. Clark.
Yes. To the extent to the Jamaican public, what that really is. But the independent of the BOJ is very good, because they can set their benchmark and the basis points how to do things. And right now, if I remember something right, I think the benchmark they set for this quarter is at 4%. That is it. So they're trying to ensure that things doesn't get away in the market, things doesn't get too sky high, but at a rate where
at a balanced level, huh?
At a balanced level. And anybody who know Arnisha back then in the 90s and in the early 2000s, always talking about the interest rate. You can get 3%, 4% from the IDV.
Yes. Right. If know how to get them, know how to get them.
But then we have in our astute Rhodes Scholar as one politician classify in a black royalist.
Yes.
Comes in and manage things for us, which is Nigel Clark. But trust me. But when I look at the interest rate and then look at food prices, trust me, it raises concern. I mean, bread, sugar, flour, chicken. If one remember 3 weeks ago, there was a report out there, I don't know which it was, that KFC would raise their
but KFC
prices and so forth.
But they have raised their price like every other week,
Yeah, and so one of the things that we can advise our customers and our people is that when you go into the supermarket or to the market, try to get a list.
Right, a list.
From the consumer fair normally gives out, print out monthly or quarterly, the price list of goods, at various supermarkets in the country. And you can buy that and shop and buy. One of Jamaica's special food, in tin is mackerel and corned beef. And trust me, whenever corned beef goes up, you know that thing's tough. Because when a man can't buy a canned beef, you know,
yeah,
it's rough.
It's
tough, me, I tell her. Good old Grace.
Yes, yeah.
Good
Because
old
they
Grace.
buy the canned beef and just buy a bread and, you know, work it out.
So one of the advice I would advise our friends and everybody is that ensure that you get that printout from the consumer affairs and look at each supermarket, the price, and able to shop and do a comparison and shop by that, whether by ILO, Progressive, Shoppers Fair, Price Mart or Mega Mart, Brooklyn.
Brooklyn supermarket, right?
Yeah. So persons can look at it and then determine what better to
purchase from.
From here. The same thing. If you can go to Coronation Market to get the pound of yam and the Hana banana, the sweet potatoes or cabbage, do that, you know, and so forth. And that ties into the livable wage. Can $9,000 really hold in our basket? But guess what? That's why we have to encourage our people to do backyard gardening.
Yes, it goes back to that now. Yes. We need to grow what we eat and eat what we grow, as they would say.
And trust me, as you have the information here, yes, electricity,
because
water.
The contribution to inflation in Jamaica, the increase was driven mainly by these divisions: food, non-alcoholic beverages, transportation, and we see where transportation, the bus fare raised a couple of weeks ago. Housing. Housing will become even more expensive now, especially for people like you and I who will try to get house through NHT. That's going to go way up. Water, electricity, gas, as you mentioned, and other fuels, right?
Yes, and if this war continues in Russia with Ukraine,
I mean, gas and oil is going to go way up.
And trust me, we do not want Russia to cut off any gas in Europe.
No.
And we do not want America have to probably use up resources that they stored up into supply the entire Europe with gas, but through Saudi Arabia. Yeah, because Saudi Arabia is the #1 oil country. And trust me, we have seen barrels gone up to over $100.
Yes. It's rough.
Since 2014, we haven't seen prices like this.
No.
Trust me. And can you imagine what would happen in Jamaica? Because when work price goes up and Jamaica prices goes up at the gas station, it gone high. But when it goes on, it doesn't come down. And I think the Jamaican people demand some answers.
Right.
When the price go down in the world market.
Right. Why doesn't it go down here?
Right. And when time there is go down, when they put out these numbers, we should see the change at the pumps. But
a question: Is it a good time now to have a car?
Tell her what. I'm a man of hope, you know. I'm a man that thinks head straight and head futuristic, because trust me, I would say yes, it's a good time to have a car. Every year there's gonna be obstacles, and we have to be able to overcome our challenges in time like this, despite what is happening. But what we have seen happening in Jamaica for the last year and a half, and I think through Darrell Vaz, the minister, has encouraged us that there will be electric cars and there will be more stations here for persons can carry their electric cars.
But that is like a medium long-term plan.
Yes.
Right, to sort of fulfill a part of the 2030 vision.
Vision. So I would say, here what? Go for it. Go for it.
It's 2022 now, you know.
Yes, be a risk taker. There's banks and there's credit unions out there willing to offer car loans. I said, go for it. Who knows what 2024 will bring? I'm a man of.
It may bring a lot of things. It may bring Kamala Harris.
Yeah. But 2024 is my number. If this person know me, I've not put 2023 in my book,
2024
my year 2024 will be greater.
Yes, yes.
And one gospel artist say 2020. so if you know that gospel artist will sing about 2020
yes.
and 2020 was this year.
Yes.
Let me tell people, 2024 is gonna be a great year. Trust me.
Let's declare it now, brother. Declare it.
Yes,
Let us continue the discussion.
Yes,
inflation rate. It states that it can also be stated that inflation has measured by the consumer price index, which you have just spoken about.
Right.
Right. Reflects the annual percentage change in the cost to the average consumer of acquiring a basket of goods and services, which you have mentioned, that may be fixed or changed at a specific interval, such as yearly, as we see where, you know, goods are and services increase and up and down on a yearly basis.
Yes.
Let's take a look at the inflation comparison rates for the previous years here. So inflation rate for 2020 was 5.23%, right? Increase of 1.3% from 2019.
Right.
Inflation rate for 2019 was 3.91%, and 0.17% from 2018.
So every year
you see that it's going up. Yes.
Yeah, every year.
And this year it's 9.7.
Yeah. But look at what happened in 2017. The inflation rate for 2018 was 3.7%, a 0.6 for decline from 2017.
Right.
So one would say that
it went down a bit.
Went down. So that would show you that there was some profits gain during the 2016-2017
period,
and I think that 2016 to 2017 period was the period where the election and there was some changes in the market.
And that's where we saw a lot of construction taking place across the country. And businesses was expanding and being established.
And because there was a foundation laid there. And let us give the previous government,
and
the PNP under the leadership of Dr. Peter Phillips.
Yes,
they have laid a foundation. The foundation would have started from 2007. Under Bruce Golding and Ardley Shaw, and it has continued. And trust me, we have to give the governments credit. You know, over the past years and so, where they kind of steady the ship. You know, as the ship go, and we have seen some good times and some bad times. You know, but definitely.
So we can, you know, definitely continue to track the inflation rate as we see here, making the comparisons.
And before we move on to the third segment, one of the things is that we have to be critical of is that the dollar.
Yes.
I think the US dollar to one Jamaican is 156, 157.
156, that's right.
Yes, and trust me, we have to be able to manage the US to one Jamaican, the foreign currency, the exchange rate. It's very vital. I know it comes back to demand and supply. And we can't afford to not have enough in our reserve. One of the critical things is that we have to have US dollar in reserve, because when demand and supply comes in effect, we do not want to see the market of this contraction, or there's unstable in the market. Things gone up, things go down. So we have to be mindful as well.
Mindful of that. That's right, absolutely. Yes. And we continue in our segment here, our second segment, as we have touched on it, you know, the rise in prices in food items, that we have basically been looking at it. The critical question, you know, people have been asking, why are food prices going up? Let us see if we can look at that at this time. It can be said that this may be due to multiple factors, which includes rising insecurity, misdirection of government funds to the agricultural sector, and poor implementation of interventions by the federal government, which is central government. These can be identified as leading causes of hike in food prices in the country. Do you agree with this statement, Mr. Robinson?
Yes, definitely, definitely. Because the rise in security, the misdirection of the government funds to the agriculture sector, trust me, it has its role.
It plays a critical role.
Critical role. And remember, the sector that some persons don't think it is important
is
the
agriculture sector. Yeah.
Food security is critical.
Yes.
We must eat to feed our people.
That's right.
Because keep on importing food can have a direct
consequence. Yes.
Consequence. And the customers here. Yeah, definitely.
That's right.
Definitely.
The cost of living in Jamaica continues to increasingly goes higher out of the reach and control of consumers. While the cost of living increases, the salaries of workers remain low, below standard, which is unacceptable. And I totally agree, in essence, it is unacceptable. When you're working so hard for an employer, going to work every day and you still can't make ends meet, it is rough, it is tough.
And to mouth, it doesn't cut it.
No,
it does not cut it. Does not cut it. Yeah,
not at all. And at this time, we're going to just take a quick break here on Conversation Talk. We'll continue the discussion shortly.